All right, by my watch, it's the appointed hour. Welcome everyone to the Department of Pathology's 2021 graduation and awards ceremony. It's a real pleasure to welcome you all. I'm sorry we can't do it in person, but we'll make do with Zoom as we have all year long. This year's celebration is, I think, particularly meaningful because it's been an extraordinary year for all of us. I'm so deeply proud of the many ways that our students, our trainees, our faculty, and our staff have risen to the extraordinary challenges posed by COVID-19. Through teaching, patient care, and research, our trainees, faculty, staff, students have helped alleviate patient suffering during the pandemic in so many, many ways. And I'm again, deeply proud of everyone. I especially want to thank our outgoing chief residents, Cherub, Karen, and Nico, and our outgoing chief pathobiology graduate student, Harley. They have led thoughtfully and creatively during the pandemic, and they've led with deep compassion. And I'm deeply grateful for them. Despite the pandemic, they recruited outstanding new classes of residents and graduate students. And we really have a great new blood entering the department because of them. They've managed innumerable and constantly changing issues in the department that have come up because of COVID, and they handled it with dignity, grace, and always thinking about our trainees and students. But to be honest, I don't think I've ever actually met them in person. It's always been through Zoom this year, which reminds me of a story that some of you may know. This guy is in Spain and he's riding on the train in first class, and he sits down and the train stops, and into his cabin comes Pablo Picasso and sits next to him. And he says, like, oh my God, I'm sitting next to the master. And the train is moving, and the guy finally gets the guts up, and he says to Picasso, you know, I love art, but I don't love abstract art because it doesn't look like reality. You know, why don't you paint, you know, I know you can paint things that look like the real world. And Picasso sits and thinks for a little while and says, well, what does the real world look like? And the man takes out his wallet and shows Picasso a picture of his wife and says, you know, the real world looks like this. And Picasso looks at it puzzled and says, your wife is a very small woman, and she's very small too, and very flat. And she doesn't have any lower body. And so, you know, what do you think reality looks like? Cherub, Karen, Nico, Harley, I so look forward to seeing you in person, that I might be able to express my thanks to you. But our reality has changed, and I don't know how to react when I see that you're not small and flat and that you have a lower body. And no goofy Zoom background either. So again, my sincere appreciation and congratulations to the entire department for really an extraordinary, I think, historic year. The way the department has risen to the challenge, and I'm deeply grateful, and I'm very, very proud of everyone. So at this point, let me turn it over to Charles.
Thank you. Got to unmute. So I want to echo everything that was just said. You know, am very grateful also to the leadership that's been provided by this class of residents that will be graduating. They have really stepped up in this pandemic era, helped to reorganize many aspects of departmental function and program function to be safe and to allow us to do the work we need to do safely. In addition to all of the things that this group has done to provide leadership during the pandemic, I'd also like to say that even though they are few in number, that they've had an enormous impact on our department and our program by reorganizing the SP rotation, by revamping the customer service green sheet process for esoteric testing. In a number of ways, they've had a huge impact And I want to thank them for all of those things that they've done. So we want to recognize our graduating group. Nico Giraldo Castillo is going to be leaving for a molecular pathology fellowship at Memorial Sloan Kettering. Cherub Kim is going to be leaving us to do a cytology fellowship at Stanford. Robert Cruz is going to be leaving us to do a transfusion medicine fellowship at Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston. Regina will be leaving us to do a combined molecular fellowship and informatics fellowship over 2 years at the University of Washington in Seattle. Karen, fortunately, will be staying with us for an additional year as a molecular fellow. And Stephen Nix will be leaving us to become an assistant professor at the University of Arkansas. And in addition to all of the other things that this group of residents has done, I also want to give special thanks also to Stephen for much of this year or significant parts of this past year. He's been the only neuropath fellow, and he's carried the entire load, what 2 people would normally have done. So he deserves a lot of credit for carrying the ball and really doing an outstanding job. So I want to thank all of our residents. I really enjoyed working with them. Now I'm going to turn this over to Alex, who's going to give out the certificates.
Hi, everybody. I wanted to echo the previous comments on congratulations to the graduating class overall. And here I'd like to highlight 2 residents who have completed their track in informatics. I think a really nice and important aspect of our program. First, congratulations to Cherub Kim, who completed an informatics track focusing on characterizing robust approaches needed in machine learning model development and validation under the constraints of small data sets. An important topic and timely topic in pathology, given the complexities of generating large data sets in pathology and imaging and both in omics. And congratulations also to Regina Kwan, who completed a plethora of projects spanning surgical pathology accessioning schedule, development of data utilities in molecular virology, comprehensive beaker reporting and surgical pathology turnaround times, analysis of interoperative consultation data, investigation results failures in the Bayview-Simmons coagulation analyzer using soft data. Congratulations to both, and I look forward to next year congratulating the next class of informatics track residents. Thank you. I would like to hand it off now to Dr. Wake, who will be talking about the education certificates.
Thank you so much. The goal of the education certificate track is to provide the next generation of academic pathologists with the opportunity to be consumers and producers of education scholarship. And Regina has excelled in these areas. She's worked on revising the manuals for virtual microscopy course. She's contributed to the hemostasis manual, and she has also co-authored a paper on the technical and teaching challenges of online cytopathology sign-out. And so we are very proud of your work, Regina, and congratulations. I'll now turn it over to Dr. Ware.
Thank you so much, Dr. Wake. It's my pleasure to introduce our chief residents for 2020 to 2021, Dr. Nicolas Giraldo Castillo, Dr. Cherub Kim, and Dr. Karen Miller. Thank you all so much for all of your hard work this year. I'd just like to reiterate everyone's comments prior to mine. It has been a great pleasure working with you all, and we are so thankful for all of your hard work. And now a year in a review from our 2020 to 2021 chief residents.
Hi, everyone. Congratulations. We made it to another virtual graduation ceremony and through a year of pandemic living. And to my fellow residency graduates, congratulations on wrapping up these formative years. Transitions call for reminiscing. And tonight, Nico, Cherub, and I are going to offer some brief reflections on our time here. Me, on what it's like to start a residency in pathology at Hopkins. Cherub, on the journey over the years. And Nico, on this past unprecedented year. As I think about starting the residency journey, I remember what it was like first coming to Hopkins and adjusting to all of the idiosyncrasies of pathology. Hematology and coagulation was my first rotation in residency. Every day after lunch, I would don my white coat and walk laps around the main loop. After a few weeks, one of my senior residents kindly informed me that I wasn't required to wear my white coat everywhere. I answered, I know, but it feels so good to finally be a doctor at Hopkins. And it still does. Another day, Dr. Kickler and I were reviewing blood smears and we saw malaria. The patient had been discharged, so we called the ED and the patient was brought back in for workup and treatment. That day, I thought to myself, I don't know what everyone is talking about. This residency thing isn't so bad. I can save lives, do laps, and leave by 5. I was quickly proven incorrect. My next rotation was at Bayview for AP. The senior resident at Bayview, Elise, took me under her wing and showed me how to write up cases, preview, and look at stains. She could not, however, prepare me for my first show and tell. It was to assess margins for colon cancer. My jaw was on the ground when Lynn, the PA, pulled a large Tupperware container from the shelf to place the specimen in. I couldn't believe we placed human tissue in something so ordinary and familiar as Tupperware. It served its purpose though, and I was able to make my way to the OR to proudly show the surgeon her negative margins. The subsequent years brought many more cases, long hours, and yes, Tupperware containers. When I reflect on my time in residency, and especially those early years, what stands out the most, however, are the people who made this a truly amazing experience. My fellow residents, the faculty, and our staff. Our PAs and laboratory technicians contributed immeasurably to my education, patiently explaining difficult and sometimes challenging concepts to me. Countless senior residents helped show me the ropes, and co-residents provided support along the way. And lastly, our faculty went above and beyond to teach and mentor. I have come to several over the years for advice, and their doors have always been open and welcoming. And fortunately, I have their contact information, and they can continue to expect questions over the years. Residency is a time of continual change and new experiences, but having the support of those around you was one constant in our program, and the one I am most thankful for. It's what makes me so proud to be a part of the Hopkins family. And with that, I'd like to thank everyone for their attention tonight and turn the microphone over to Cherub. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen, and congratulations to all the residents and fellows that are graduating this year. When I reflect on my residency, I feel very lucky to have gone through such rigorous training in our particular program with our particular group of best house staffs. And I'd like to recount 3 stories that for me embody this program and our residents. The first story is from my first month on Surge Path, and it takes place during the second 4-day cycle. And I was Cutter 1 for the first time without any Cutter buddies, and the entire OR was my grossing responsibility. And despite grossing as fast as I could, I just didn't have enough experience. And by the end of the day, my Surge Path team came out and looked at my bin and said, "You're going to need some help." And they called an SOS. And within an hour, 3 to 4 residents on different services from around the hospital came to help me gross, and they got me through my cycle. And I felt so lucky and so moved to be in a program with such supportive, selfless, and kind residents. My second story takes place during or involves our happy hours. And so every Friday after 5 p.m., if you weren't on call, we were on our way to a bar or a restaurant for drinks and dinner, and we could easily hang out until midnight or 1 a.m. And I remember during the first couple months of residency meeting Mayor Pesky's wife, and she would ask us, "Do you guys know what a happy hour is?" And we'd say, "Yeah, sure, it's when you hang out with your colleagues after work." And she would say, "No, a happy hour lasts 1 hour. When you guys go to happy hour, you guys take 6-7 hours." And I think it just represents that, not only are we colleagues, but we're great friends. We see each other at work all day long, but even Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, we still want to hang out with each other, and we do. The picture on the left is a picture we took during our first year. And I think this is photo evidence proving that we had been planning this the whole time. From the very beginning, we were planning to be the 2020-2021 chief residents. So now you have proof. The third story that I like to tell is about getting Korean barbecue at Honey Pig. And so about once a year, the residents, med students, and fellows and friends and family would gather, and we'd plan a trip to get Korean barbecue at Honey Pig. Honey Pig is a restaurant that's about 15-20 miles away in Ellicott City, and they have a very strict reservation policy. You have to show up with your entire group within 15 minutes of your reservation, and for every person who doesn't show up, they charge you $5. And we got 35 people to show up on time at Honey Pig, and I am so proud that these are the types of responsible and reliable pathologists that we have in our program. And so I'd like to thank the residence fellows who made this a program of not just colleagues, but close friends, and who got me through some of the toughest days of residency. And thank you to the faculty and staff who have prepared us to become strong and good pathologists to serve our patients. Thank you very much. And I will treasure my experiences and memories here at Johns Hopkins Residency. Thank you. And now I'll turn it over to Nico.
Hey everyone, this is Nico. I'll be giving the last speech from the X2 residents tonight. So I know that 2020 to 2021 year has been quite challenging for many of us, but tonight I wanted to dedicate a few minutes just to share with you some of the good things that happened this last academic year that I think actually could stay the same after the pandemic is over. So as many of you know, back in March of 2020, our didactic transition to fully virtual. And actually that came with two positive things, I think. First of all, for the first time in our lives, actually residents are experiencing didactic from the commodity of their bed while having a nice cup of coffee in their hands. The other positive thing that happened is that this really opened the door for new tools and technology of learning to come into play. And I think you will be hearing from these new teaching projects in the years to come. Another positive thing that happened is that actually due to the restrictions that we have, of course, with having indoor social events and gatherings, many of these social events transition into outdoors, and many of our residents have orchestrated hikes and walks around Baltimore. And I'm pretty sure that our hearts, muscles, and bones are very thankful with this change in the panorama. The wellness committee this last year has been a big winner. They have made sure to keep us, sane, safe, and also well-fed throughout the last 15 months. And I really wanted to thank them for all their efforts throughout these last few months. Something that really struck me positively about the pandemic is actually I really realized that our tech, administrative staff, PAs, and attendings are extremely engaged in supporting the learning and the well-being of our residents. And this has been, an amazing experience for me to learn. So I wanted to thank each one of you guys for really stepping up and making sure that actually our learning was still good throughout these very difficult times. Also, I know many of you got to participate in the virtual recruitment. I wanted to especially thank Dr. Argani for inspiring us in doing virtual tours. Here you can see him actually back in the summer of 2020 doing virtual tours for the SPA candidates. But I just wanted to thank all the people that participated in this virtual recruitment season. The amount of people that actually had to participate is just gigantic, and I wanted to thank the pathology training office and all the faculty people, and also the website committee and the residents for pitching in. You made this recruitment season very smooth and very efficient. I think we're going to have a great class coming next July. Also, congratulations, Curtis and Alice. You had babies during the pandemic in this last academic year, and we wanted to congratulate you in name of all the residents for expanding your families. Also, interestingly enough, we made it into social media. So now we have a residency Instagram account, and actually a large amount of our residents participated in, sharing their stories and also advertising many of our rotations in the pathology program. And many of the candidates of residency did highlight that they used our Instagram account to get to learn a little bit more about our residency program. So thank you so much. And finally, I wanted to thank our residents for keeping up with the good work. I wanted to say to you that I know this year has been pretty challenging, but I think, everybody has supported each other, and you guys have done a great and amazing job and made our work as chief residents extremely smooth and good. So thank you so much. So this last picture, actually, Cheryl kindly shared it with me. In the center, you can see a class of 2017. Many of us are graduating today. You can also see Karen and Robert. They started in 2016 and 2018. And I wanted, to share with all of you, congratulations for the graduating today. I have shared personal experiences with each one of you, and I'll really keep you close to my heart. And thank you so much for all of that. Also wanted to thank very briefly Dr. Ruben, Dr. Steenbergen, and the PATH training office, including Nancy, for all their work and support in these many years, and especially in the last few months. Thank you so much to everyone, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the year.
This year's AP Faculty Teaching Award goes to Dr. Lisa Rupert. I am personally very excited to present this award because Dr. Rupert absolutely stands out in my mind as one of our great teachers during my time here at Hopkins. Of course, many of our fellow residents also felt that way, and I will summarize some of their comments here. Residents would always look forward to a 1 o'clock session with its endless, high quality and high value teaching points, and her even being so gracious as to generously acknowledge our thoughts, even when we were way out in left field with the preliminary diagnosis or observation, like saying we can't see the intermediate cells that are pretty much filling up the entire field of view. She's always available to answer questions, her door figuratively and literally open to us, and not infrequently, she is the person we turn to in the middle of a grossing crisis. Her knowledge and skill is an inspiration to all of us. Dr. Rupert also gave us outstanding lectures on unknowns. One of the great challenges for lectures is to design it so that they are high yield and well organized for the entire range of trainees, from interns to fourth years, and Dr. Rupert particularly shined in this area. Everyone really got so much out of them. We really appreciate your generosity with your time and knowledge. Thank you very much, Dr. Rupert, and congratulations.
This year, our CP Faculty Award goes to Dr. Rina Shan, and it is my distinct pleasure and honor to present this award to her. Dr. Rina Cheyenne was consistently noted by our residents to be an amazing teacher and mentor. One of the resident comments that particularly stuck out to me and rings very true to me, and I think to many of our residents, is that Rina is an incredible mentor who found new possibilities and goals for me that I had never considered. In Heme Path Sign Out, where there's clearly a lot of cases, she dedicates her afternoon to methodically going through cases, covering key points for each one, and teaching us an incredible amount of information from morphology to prognosis and treatment to molecular implications. She truly cares about teaching, and it shows. I aspire to be an educator like her. Additionally, Rina was noted to have helped residents through the pandemic in our education. She was noted to have gone from an in-person teacher to the online Zoom didactic format for molecular seamlessly, aiding our education through a difficult time of COVID-19. So thank you, Dr. Cheyenne, for your dedication to teaching and our education, and congratulations.
This year, the Residency Fellow Award goes to Ezra Brevin. Ezra, we wanted to thank you in name of all the residents. The residents emphasized that Ezra consistently made it a priority to follow up with them to go over cases and the highlights for each one. Also, they mentioned that Ezra's sign-outs are of great quality and always tailored to the level of training of each one of the residents. Elsa was also described personally as a very passionate teacher with a kind heart and who deeply cares for all our residents. Thank you so much, Ezra, for your generosity and willingness to teach. Congratulations, and we all look forward to keep working with you in the following years. This year, the Residency Gross Pathology Teaching Award goes to Cheryl Kim, which is actually here present with us in this call. So congratulations, Cheryl. Cheryl, this year, Cheryl has volunteered to quarter body our residents for more than 40 years over the past 12 months. It seems that he's always has done it with a lot of enthusiasm and a smile in his eyes. Thank you, Cheryl, for all the residents, from all the residents for taking the time to cover about it, our interest this last year, and congratulations.
This year's Resident Teaching Award goes to Dr. Caitlin Davis, one of our esteemed current chiefs. Let me share with you some of the numerous comments residents had regarding Kate. Everyone noted how much she cares about resident well-being and education. Even if she were busy or it was late and time to go home, that would not stop her from taking the time to help her fellow residents in everything from cutter buddying to talking through challenging cases while previewing on Search Path to helping others prepare for unknowns. Her enthusiasm for teaching is so great that she sat down and helped a resident go through all the basics of evaluating a bone marrow aspirate while not even being on heme path herself. On top of all of this, she has worked on many education projects here at Hopkins, including lectures for residents on various topics which many reference while previewing. So many observed how she lifts up her co-residents and her team around her. Thank you, Kate, from all the residents for giving your time to help out your fellow residents as they grow, preview, and progress through residency. Congratulations.
And now I'd like to present our non-faculty staff award to Kirsten Mowry. Kirsten was noted by our residents to be a balance of being friendly while prioritizing resident education. Consistently, our residents called her our go-to person in the gross room with questions. One resident noted that she is a thorough teacher while being time efficient. She is always quick to help and also quick to joke and laugh. She will be sorely missed. I think I speak for all of us when I say that she made our time in the gross room very pleasant and enjoyable, while also educational. Thank you, Kirsten, and congratulations.
And that concludes our faculty, resident, and staff teaching awards for 2020-2021. Congratulations, everybody, and thank you for all that you do for resident education.
Congratulations, all of you.
Yes, congratulations. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lee Martin. I'm the director of the Pathobiology graduate program here in the Department of Pathology. Thank you for sharing part of your evening with us. I would like to share with you a very powerful slide. And this slide is of our recent 2020-21 graduates who have earned their PhDs or their master's degree in pathobiology. These individuals accomplished tremendous feats over this past year to finish up and to actually place themselves in positions, postdoctoral positions, industry biotechnology positions. But I would like to add that this is only a small cadre of the strength of our program, and that our entire program of some 40-some students I'm so very proud of, because they have all really made huge achievements throughout this year with the pandemic, and where many other programs in the institution basically stalled. We moved forward and we were able to continue our training program with vigor, put students in rotations, bring on first-year students from abroad. These are mighty achievements. I owe a great deal to not only the students, but to Stacy Morgan Marsh, who really had made this happen, as well as to our chief graduate student, Harley Parker. But let me introduce you to our pathobiology graduates this year. Yu Ting Chang. She worked with Richard Jones on some beautiful work on the role of bone microenvironment in regulating chemotherapy efficacy. She will be going back to Taiwan to pursue a position in biotechnology. Bo Ran Choi, who worked with in Sean Sakonathan's lab in neuroscience, and she worked on some molecular mechanisms of developmental myelin hypomyelination. And she will be, she has already gone on to NINDS to pursue a postdoctoral fellowship. Nivi Chowdhury, who actually worked,
Colombia. ¿Cómo estás?
Hello? Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. I was told that I was muted by the host. Did someone silence me?
No, I was trying to silence the person who cut in on you. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Nivi, who actually did some work with Charles Drake on renal cancer, she will be going into biotechnology as a research scientist. John Faisal, who worked with Mohammed Farha in neuroscience neurology. He did some marvelous work in peripheral neuropathy and mechanisms of macrophage-mediated degeneration of peripheral nerves after they were injured. Wei Kai Wang did his work with Gaoling Ming, doing some amazing, astonishing work with human iPS cells induced from fibroblast and lymphocytes on frankly, on a disease I never heard of, Prader-Willi syndrome, which is a mental retardation syndrome. And Wei Kai went on to find some very, very elegant synaptic mechanisms of disease in Prader-Willi syndrome. Wei Kai is off to postdoctoral fellowship at NYU. Swathi Karthikeyan did her work with Ben Park, astonishing work on breast cancer and breast cancer heterogeneity. She actually just published a beautiful JCI paper. Swathi is off to Stanford to do a postdoctoral fellowship. Byung-Woo Kim, who trained with me, did some astonishing work taking fibroblasts and inducing actual, through iPS cell technology, functional human motor neurons, really functional motor neurons. He made a believer out of me, quite frankly, and he really worked on this at an extraordinary level of intensity. He's actually went and did a postdoctoral fellowship at FDA, working with actually a world leader in stem cell technology. Monica Looney, who did her work with Petros in the Petros Karakoussis lab, working on Mycobacterium and its actually role in causing host cell mitochondrial DNA fragmentation. She published a very lovely paper recently. Monica is spending some time with Petros as a postdoctoral fellow, and then she's actually going on to School of Public Health here at Johns Hopkins to pursue a master's degree. Areli Lopez Bujanda actually did also a work with Charles Drake and in prostate cancer. And she is also staying in academics and pursuing a postdoctoral fellowship at NYU. Emily Majinkauda did her work with the esteemed Dr. Gayanu Ramachan, and she did some really astonishing things, which I never really thought that she would achieve, but she did nevertheless, working on a model of pulmonary disease with Mycobacterium abscessa infection, and actually generating an entirely novel mouse model of Mycobacterium abscessus. And we have Katie Marshall, who did her work also with Mohammed Farha, and she'd worked also with human iPS-derived stem cell in motor neuron directed differentiation of motor neurons. And she did actually some astonishing work with some microfluidic devices and actually axotomizing human motor neurons and then watching them regrow and introducing ALS superoxide dismutase mutations to actually study the rate of axonal regeneration. Katie is staying with us at Johns Hopkins. She will be pursuing a postdoctoral fellowship in neurology. Kristen Nichols will be getting her master's degree, and she did her work in gynecological cancer with Li Ming Shi and Tian Li Wang. And Ever Shrestha, she did her work with the distinguished Karen Stefanos. And her work was some very elegant studies on how the microbiome may affect prostate cancer. And Eva is off to do work at Biogen as a scientist. I would like to congratulate everybody and for the good work. And I'm very, very, very proud of you, as is the entire department. Thank you very much. I would also now like to introduce to you our wonderful, delightful, splendid pathobiology chief graduate student, Harley Parker. We would not have been able to do what we did this year during the pandemic without Harley Parker. That is a certainty, one of the few certainties in my life. And so, Harley, congratulations for all your work this year. Keep up the good work, and I turn it over to you.
Hi, everyone. This is Harley, the outgoing chief graduate student, and I'm going to show you all of the things that our students have been up to this last year, from 2020 to 2021. So I want to take you all back with me in time to 2020 DC, or during COVID, this nomenclature Peter set up last year. Very specifically, month 3 of our global pandemic, which was May 2020. And there was a lot of things going on in the world, but it's really just best summed up by Bill Nye here. An actual crisis all around the world on so many different levels. Due to labs being shut down, our students had to keep themselves busy doing various different activities, some of which included reading, baking, and binge watching entire seasons of shows on Netflix. And also by writing, lots of writing. This here is just a small selection of the numerous papers that were published by our students this past year. I guess you could say a positive side of quarantine lab shutdown is there was no excuses to not write that paper anymore. And then this momentous occasion occurred on June 15th, 2020 DC. Lab research restart. After 89 days of lab shutdown, we were all able to go back to our labs. But when labs reopened, it was a lot different than what we had before. We had shifts of lab work, new sanitation procedures, masks, face shields, and social distancing. But we were really able to get back to what we love to do. Returning to our research, being back at the microscope or the hood and doing our day-to-day research, discovering new things in the lab each day with our experiments, and getting to collaborate with our fellow students again. This is one of the most important things that has come because we've been able to get back into lab, is being able to see each other in person and collaborate together and learn from each other and getting to share our ideas. And another benefit of all of these pictures here was we were able to revamp our Pathobio website this past year, so now it looks super awesome. And then this year, all of our activities were brought to you by a combination of Zoom and social distancing. From our very first happy hour of the year to welcome our new first years, all the way through all of our journal clubs and student lunch meetings, we saw each other mostly over computer screens through Zoom. And when we were in person, you had to stand 6 feet apart, but we were still able to accomplish a lot this year. Some of those amazing events included the camping trip at the beginning of the year in October. And then in November, our Thanksgiving pie pickup for all the students who had to stay in town because of travel restrictions. So thank you to the admin team and Dr. Rubin for arranging these giant pies for us all to receive. And then in December, our social committee arranged for us to do a Secret Santa gift exchange social distance edition. On December 16th, students left gifts for their giftee in the grad room, and then the next day, everyone got to go pick up their gifts along with a card containing season's greetings from all of their fellow students. Then come January, we tackled a seemingly impossible task of demonstrating to all of our applicants how amazing our program is entirely over Zoom. And we actually had such great success that we have 6 stellar incoming students that have been recruited through this event. And just having a good time, getting to be together as students when we can, and when we couldn't, doing things social distantly so we could still celebrate this year together. And now I want to take some time to honor all the achievements and our graduates. So much has been accomplished this year by our students under such trying times. And so I want to take a moment to really highlight some of our students for their accomplishments this year. Starting off, I want to honor all of our first year students. They began this year entirely online with all of their classes, and some of them had to figure out rotations having only been on campus during recruitment the year before. And they took it all in stride, studied really hard, and have accomplished so much this year and done so well. So congrats to all of you for finishing up your very first year in the program all online, and hopefully we can soon get you involved in the normal activities that we do each year. Next, I want to honor our second year students who are our newest PhD candidates. This past fall, they took the first and hopefully last virtual oral exams, and they all passed and did so well. And I know that was really challenging and stressful for all of them. We are so proud of them for all they have done. Also, a quick shout out to my cohort of third years. After 1.5 years from the time we passed our oral exams, we finally received our white coats, which are the highest level of lab safety fashion. And of course, honoring our graduates. This year we had 12 amazing graduates who not only finished their PhDs, which is hard enough, but finished during a pandemic, which brings about its own set of challenges. But one of the bright sides of this was family and friends from all over were able to attend our thesis seminars because we held them over Zoom. And so that was a nice added bonus for these students that may not always have everyone there during their thesis seminars. So thank you to all of you for your contributions to the program over the time, and we wish you all the best of luck wherever life takes you next. Also, we have to take some time to give big thank yous to those who support us throughout the year. So we're going to start off with huge thank yous to our 2 program directors, Lee Martin and Aaron James. Both of you have done so much to help support our program. Also, our program administrator / official Zoom leader of the year, Stacy, has been a real MVP. She has run our journal club Zooms, our student lunch meeting Zooms. She coordinated the oral exams over Zoom, and we could not have done all of this without her. Also, a big thank you to Dr. Ruban and Ellen for all of your support throughout the year in helping us get through these really challenging times. Of course, thank you to all of our Pathobio pets who are probably watching from home with their owners. You guys have been a crucial part in maintaining the student sanity during this pandemic and helping us all smile, even through just posted pictures that are shared amongst all the students. And last, I want to thank everyone for such an amazing year as Chief Graduate Student. Even if it was a pandemic, I had a fantastic time, and I'm ready to hand the reins over to the next chief. Hopefully next year will be even better than this 2020 to 2021 year has been. because let's face it, 2020 was an absolute mess. And hopefully the next chief will get to give you a timeline that includes an AC era, an after COVID time. And we can be back in person, mostly for the food, because we grad students miss our lunches. Thank you all.
I hope that made everyone chuckle. It's kind of weird being on Zoom and it's quiet, but that was the hope. So now it is my absolute pleasure to get to announce this year's Nancy Nath Pathobiology Teaching Award. So this award goes out to a faculty member who was voted on by the students as the best educator this year. And this year is really important because it's not just for contributions over the 2020 to 2021 year, but over the last many years, this contribution from this educator. And so this year's award goes to Dr. Kathy Gabrielson. We really wanted to acknowledge her for her many years serving as the course director of our Basic Mechanisms course, which is the very first course that students take when they get here. And she does such a great job giving us a foundation in pathology and leading that course. And unfortunately for the next batch of students, this was her last year leading the course. So we really wanted to show our appreciation to her for all she's done over the years leading this course. So thank you so much, Dr. Gabrielson. I really do hope that the next batch of students still get to interact with you through all the other things and see what a wonderful teacher you are. And with that, I would like to hand it back over to Dr. Ruban.
Thank you, Harley. It's again, thank you, and all the graduate students, congratulations. It's a real pleasure to introduce the Pathology Named Awards. And if I can have the next slide, Nancy. The first one is the Joseph Eggleston Award in Surgical Pathology. Joe was a giant in surgical pathology and a giant before we had immunohistochemistry and molecular at a time where all you had was the microscope and H&E slide and your brains and guts. Joe was a world's expert in lung cancer and in fact wrote the AFIP fascicle on lung cancer. He was a real in the trenches surgical pathologist as well. He led by example and trained a generation of surgical pathologists. It's a real pleasure to congratulate Harsimar Kaur for her work, expression of PD-L1 and trophoblastic marker beta HCG and the squamous cell carcinomas of the uterine cervix. Congratulations. Next is Grover Hutchins Award. Grover was the director of the autopsy service here for, I think, 20 years. And although he was best known for his work in pediatric and cardiac pathology, he was also a very, very broadly expert in pathology. In fact, if there was ever a question you had on any issue in pathology, you could bring it to Grover and he would pull an article from the shelf that he had written on the subject and help you address your questions. He's a real giant in autopsy pathology and he's missed. This year's awardee is Thomas Zykos for his paper, Brainstem Neuropathology Associated with Severe COVID-19. Congratulations, Thomas. Next is the Risa Mann Award in Education. Risa was an amazing and beautiful person. She was an expert in hematopathology and helped discover that Epstein-Barr virus drives some forms of lymphoma, including Hutchins disease. She was the residency director and was recruited many of us, myself included, who ended up on the faculty and was much loved in that role. She was the 44th woman faculty member in the School of Medicine that rose to the rank of professor, an extraordinary achievement for her time. But I think her husband John is on, and Gilda and her daughter, one of her daughters, John and Gilda, her legacy lives on. She really is a model for our faculty, what it means to be a faculty member and what it means to be a colleague in the department. This year's awardee is Monica Butcher for her work, development of interactive teaching modules for breast pathology. Congratulations, Monica. Next, the Fred and Janet Sanfilippo Research Award. Fred came to us from Duke University to become the 7th Baxley Professor and Chair of the department. As director, he unified anatomic and clinical pathology and grew the department quite significantly to close to its modern size. He, in fact, wrote a wonderful paper that I refer to all of you to in the November 2000 issue of Academic Pathology that describes the impact of unifying the department and of changing the culture of the department. He was here for 6 years, but really has a lasting impact on the department. This year's awardee is Eaton Halper Stromberg. Eaton is work on minimal residual disease detection of clonal immunoglobulin sequences in lymphoid malignancies. Congratulations. Next is the Mabel Smith Award. Mabel was the senior administrator here in the department for decades. He quietly helped lead the department. I think while department chairs thought they were leading the department, it was actually Mabel who was leading it, kind of like Radar in the MASH episodes. She was really helped define the direction of the department, and when any faculty member or resident or fellow had a problem, you'd go sit in a chair across from Mabel and she would give you sage advice about how to address the problem. She's just an extraordinary human being as well as a wonderful administrator. This year's awardee is Kelly Craven for virtual attending migration to Beaker. Congratulations, Kelly. And I'll turn it over to Dr. Hooper, who will introduce the Quality Initiative Award.
So it's my pleasure to present this Quality Initiative and Performance Improvement Award. This is given to the best resident project judged by baseline measures, application of interventions, and measurement of results. And this year it goes to Regina Kwan for her project design and implementation of an all-digital referral test management system using the REDCap platform. Congratulations. And I'll now turn it over to Dr. Marissa White for the Welch Award.
Hi, good evening, everyone. The William Welch Award is awarded to a medical student with an outstanding performance on the pathology clerkship, which this year there were 43 virtual rotators, so it's a big deal. It is my honor to recognize this year's recipient, Annie Wu. She's a third-year medical student who received her PhD in immunology with Dr. Elizabeth Jaffe. The faculty and SP got to know Annie during the virtual SP elective, where despite the highly unusual circumstances, she stood out with strong diagnostic skills and a genuine passion for pathology. But moreover, we were equally impressed by her commitment to community and education. To highlight a few, she volunteered with the transfusion medicine faculty to help build a pipeline for convalescent plasma collection for COVID-19 treatment, and built a novel pathology education webpage for Hopkins medical students, lovingly called Team Path MD. Congratulations, Annie. We are thrilled and looking forward to what we are confident will be a bright career in pathology. Now I'll hand it over to Dr. James.
Thank you. So this year we had 2 residents that were acknowledged by the School of Medicine for their scholastic achievements, and these were Drs. Cruz and Dr. Caitlin Davis. So Dr. Cruz, he received the Physician Scientist Research Award, and this was for his work with a non-viral gene delivery using the biliary system to target hepatocytes in porcine liver. So congratulations to Robert for this achievement. Second, Dr. Davis received the Resident Award, and this was conferred to her from the JHH House Staff Council. And this was for her many efforts in improving the quality of resident education and her work on the Pathology Wellness Committee. So please join me in congratulating both Robert and Caitlin for these achievements. And I'll pass it off to Drs. Arend and Roden for the fellowship graduates.
Thank you. I'll be presenting our graduating clinical fellows for this year. From clinical chemistry, Nadia Ayala Lopez and Stephen Conklin Lopez. Cytopathology, Ankit Rajgaria and Susan Chiu. Genitourinary pathology, Guofeng Gao and Daniel Russell. Hematopathology, Nicholas Rogers and Kavita Umrao. Medical microbiology, David Gaston. Molecular genetic pathology, C. Perini. Neuro-ophthalmic pathology, Alexander Rosado Betancourt. Renal pathology, Gabriel Giannini. And transfusion medicine, Elizabeth Crow and Letitia Diao. And I wish them all the best of success in their future positions. And now I'll turn it over to Dr. Roden for the graduating research fellows.
Great, thanks, Dr. Arend. So I'm going to congratulate the research fellow. I'm very sorry I'm not there to shake your hand and pat you on the back, but I will raise a glass to you from home. So in clinical chemistry, we have Yingwei Hu and Yu Ivan Wan. From GI liver pathology, we have Daniela Lopez Casimiro Assis. We have Kohei Fujikura, Makoto Karamoto, and Haruyoshi Tanaka. From GU pathology, we have Adriana Amal Aragao. We have Sonia Commander. We have Janelle Maynard. We have Maria Alejandra Villarreal Perez. From the immunopathology group, we have Joel Cradle, Rizwan Ahmed, and Gabrielle Roman Melendez. From informatics, Nakul Shankar. Neuropathology, Xinwei Li. Ophthalmic pathology, we have Nath. And finally, from transfusion medicine, we have Tanya Bonney and Francis Ibukun. So congratulations to you all, and we wish you all a wonderful future, and we're very proud of your accomplishments at Hopkins. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Lisa Rupa for the faculty assistance graduates.
Hi, everybody. So I'm super excited to get to present our faculty assistants this year. And for those of you who are not familiar with these programs, these are some of the most talented and accomplished young pathologists in the country who are also brave enough to kind of forego a traditional fellowship experience and instead come spending a year with full attending sign-out privileges in our department. So I know I speak for my colleagues in GI and gynecologic pathology as well as surgical pathology when I say we are so lucky to work with these extremely talented individuals. We're impressed every day by the awesome diagnoses they make, their commitment to their work and their patients, and as well, it's really one of the joys of our careers to watch them grow each year. So we're going to start out with gastrointestinal and liver pathology. We have 3 assistants. Dr. Nazahe Atzerzadagan, and she will be heading to the University of Michigan as an assistant professor for GI pathology. Jacqueline Berkness, who we are lucky enough to be keeping here as an assistant professor in GI pathology at Johns Hopkins. And Jose Rodriguez Leon, who will be going to Hato Rey Pathology Labs in Puerto Rico. Moving on to gynecologic pathology, we have 3 assistants here as well. Wissam Dahoud will be an associate pathologist at Long Beach Memorial Pathology Group in California. Mark Hopkins will be a surgical pathology fellow at Mayo Clinic in Minnesota. And Nishat Nafurshan will be an assistant professor at the University of California at Davis. Finally, our surgical pathology assistants, Ezra Baraban will be serving as a GU pathology fellow here at Hopkins, and then will be coming onto the faculty to join us in surgical pathology. Geeta Jagannathan will be a renal pathology fellow at Columbia University. Mira Latvala will also be staying at Hopkins as a breast pathology assistant, and Benjamin Mazer will be a GI pathology fellow at Yale University. Again, we are so lucky to have had the opportunity to work with all of these amazing pathologists this year and really wish them the best in their future careers. I will now hand it over to Dr. Steenbergen to present the Young Investigators Day.
Charles, you're muted.
Thank you. Sorry. So just to repeat myself, we want to recognize the young investigators who participated in our Young Investigators Day. This was, I think, a very successful day. It was all organized by Stacy March, who was recognized for her work organizing the pathobiology program. But she also is the one who really organizes this, and we appreciate all the work she did. I think this was actually pretty good this year. All of the presentations were interactive, and she coordinated making sure that everybody was in the right place for the Zoom sessions. So I want to congratulate her on that. I also want to recognize Ben Larman, who's really the one who primarily organizes this, but the evening isn't the best time for him to be announcing the most outstanding people. I want to point out that there were many more presentations in basic research than there were in clinical or translational research. So therefore, there are more winners in this category. The most outstanding talk, according to the judges, was Xiaoping Wang, who is a research fellow in neuropathology. And he gave a truly outstanding presentation. And he will, I think, be giving a talk at Grand Rounds in another month or so. And then there were a number of other very outstanding presentations as well. Rizwan Ahmad, who's a research fellow in immunopathology. Kusama Ananth, also actually a graduate student in molecular microbiology and immunology, working in immunology. Wei-Yu Chi, research fellow in GYN Path. Lionel Chia, a pathobiology graduate student, also recognized for giving an outstanding presentation. Ya-Yun John, another pathobiology graduate student. Then I think on the next page, we have the other winners in this category. Hannah Kielanowski, who is a graduate student in molecular microbiology and immunology. Muni Lee, also a research fellow. Katie Marshall, a pathobiology graduate student. Daniel Monaco, another pathobiology graduate student. David Pesky, a resident working in immunopathology, and Megan Wood, a graduate student in molecular microbiology and immunology. So a nice mix of students, fellows, and residents recognized for their outstanding presentations in and work in basic research. Next, I have the winner in clinical research. There were only 3 presentations in clinical research, and the most outstanding presentation was given by Gabrielle Bailey, a resident in our program, and she will also be giving a presentation at Grand Rounds as part of our Young Investigator Day presentations. And then the final category was translational research. Ariel Isser was the judge to be the most outstanding presentation in this category. He is a graduate student in biomedical engineering working in immunopathology. And then the other 2 outstanding contributions in this area were from house staff, Cherub Kim and Robert Cruz. So we had a number of really outstanding presentations, and we just wanted to recognize some of them here today in our awards day program. So with that, then I will turn it back over to Dr. Bruban for the final wrap up.
Yeah, so please join me in toasting the past, present, and the future of the department. The past as we express our deep appreciation and admiration of the past, those in the department before us. For the present, as we celebrate today the many, many wonderful accomplishments of our trainees and students, and to the future as we look forward to a bright post-COVID days. So cheers, congratulations, and thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.